That's, I guess, it's about it. I know it. Gee. So much for social distancing, huh? We need more space. We need more space. Okay. All right. Ready? First exercise. Morning, everyone. We're ready to rock and roll. Are we? No music. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and stop. Okay, to the side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. 2, 3. To my left. 2, 3. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. 2, 3. To your left. 2, 3. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, one more time. Hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. 2, 3. To your left. 2, 3. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Hands on your waist. Circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. Cross. Knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. Hands on your waist. Neck turning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center tilt to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, center, rotating, 1, 2, 3, reverse, 1, 2, 3, center, hands up, pull an inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Okay, spread your feet, turning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. Did we do 24? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3. Stop. Okay, stretch it out. Switch. 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 Straighten the front knee. Switch. 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 Center. Okay, we'll shake it out. Okay, hands up. Pull in, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, hands in your waist. Shoulder roll. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Okay. Press, release, exhale, inhale. And stop. Deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay. Wrists. Reverse. Okay, palms down, bigger circle. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, shake it out. Okay, we're going to shift and balance. So we'll go from side to side first. Loosen up the hips from side to side. Okay, and then we're going to lift. And center. Now we're going to try it doing it opposite side. So this is like the insert needle. So we'll go up. See, so what we're doing is practicing the lift. The lift. See, so it's like this arm is pulling up that leg. This arm is pulling up that leg. And you insert the needle like this. Okay, shake it out. So that builds some coordinate, but it actually helps stability and strengthening your. You're like doing a semi one-legged squat. So you imagine it's a weight-bearing exercise. You know, how do you bear your weight? You have to transfer enough weight so that works the legs, and eventually that will, I guess, build the bone matrix as a weight-bearing exercise. Okay, so from here we're going to swing the leg. And switch, other side. And side to side. And center. Okay, other side. And shake it out. Deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, hands here. Silk grilling. Okay, switch. Okay, open and close. Switch. Okay, center. Circular movements. Okay, low hoop. Shoulder height. Elbows down. Okay, lower palms down. Extend. Okay, deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, diagonal flying. Switch. Okay, cloud hands. Palms down. Lift up. Carry tiger to the mountain. Okay, infinity sign. And form the fist. Okay, palms together. Strum the lute. Okay, turn, draw the bow. Okay. Fan to the back. Okay, raise the hand. Okay, palms down. Deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, so we'll go through the short form, but first let's do the the beginning style transitions. We'll work the hands, then we'll do the leg work, then we'll combine the two. This is something we did the other day that was teaching you the transition for beginning style and how to kind of link things together so you have your footwork, the mechanics for footwork, and the mechanics for switching sides from vertical elbow to the opposite side. So when we stand in a shoulder width stance or going through this, so that's your basic pivoting, right? So once we get into the position, but then we have the strum the loot movements, right? So we strum the loot and go to horizontal elbow. We have a press, a flip, stroke down, go to center, replace that hand, then go to horizontal, press, flip, stroke down, move to center. So that's really how we break it down. Now when we do this, we go through the motions and it's just kind of mimicking the movements. But once you've kind of realized the vertical elbow positions, then you have to start to look at the geometry and the structure of your position. So we have the vertical and we have the horizontal. Joining the hands and dropping elbows, that's the relationship that we developed when we first learned this, right? So that's kind of a right and left eye integration, but it's still somewhat of an isolated motion because that's all we're doing is that. So that's easy to do once you've figured it out. But then when you go like this and then you exchange through a motion that takes you to the other side, now it's much more precise. You have some spatialness and some referencing that you begin to see that there is a format to doing this. Right. So where that shows up is when we start the form and we go forward and we sit back and turn and we lean and we flip the elbow and stroke down and adjust the feet. We're here and then we're in the right side position and we press again. And then it continues. But if we didn't continue and I pivoted back to here and I reversed it, that's what would happen on this side. So that's really a transition, right? Taking that same movement going backwards. What's that? And then that comes around, right? Yeah. Yeah. So it's really, it really has to do with during transition. It does. Initially, you're doing this. So that's one method of going to single whip, right? When I go like this and then do this, that's another method of getting to vertical, because it's not, they are not all the same. Every transition is slightly different depending on what's going on below, because your legs and your hands have to build the same relationship. Now, so the hand movements from neutral to horizontal, flipping, and then sliding down to get you the oblique movement or oblique position, this comes to here, and it creates more or less a circular movement like this. So when the movements are just going from vertical to horizontal, that's what happens, right? Now you can get even more complicated by turning the lower hoop and then going to neutral and then going to lower hoop and then creating that, right? So it depends on how much of the geometry you want to put into the movements, because then structural integrity starts to change based on, what you're doing here and what you're doing here. So, your combinations of movements can become, pretty numerous. They're not all the same. It all looks the same initially, because there's really a lack of understanding of what we're actually doing, other than, well, they're doing this. So when does the body turn? When does the body pivot? So all of those things have to be kind of learned and built into your motion. Now, in this position, taking the legs, if we put our hands like this and we go like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a drill to go 180 degrees. You learn to measure your movements, go into the parallel stance. You go into the kick out. So I kick the heel out, I sit back and I pivot. So you're building a sequence of events in the legs. So this goes down to really fundamental transitions that really teach you to shift your weight, to kind of move from side to side, and then also go to the substantial and insubstantial leg, meaning this is your substantial and then that becomes your substantial, and you build that coordination. And by doing that, your legs eventually will start to build the pattern, which it is a pattern, and what it feels like, and to bear weight on one side and another. So that's what happens when we're doing leg work. So the benefit of the leg work in Tai Chi is that you shift your weight, you learn to move an unweighted leg, which is your insubstantial leg. So whether it's walking, moving, turning, all of this stuff requires shifting of weight. So that's something that we're not always aware of. That's why we, as part of age-related degeneration and aging, when you start to lose that ability to control your center of mass, which is really shifting your weight over your feet, and balance, then it's because the lower half of your body is getting dysfunctional from non-use or misunderstanding of how to sustain your vertical position and limit suppleness and being limber in the lower, agility of the lower parts of your body. So the stiffer your legs get, the higher your center of gravity goes. So the stiffer your legs get, the less stable you are, because you become top heavy, right? So it's like standing, like on stilts. Stilts are not like just sticks. Well, when you're on those stilts, you really have no control of your body unless you just stay really vertical and balanced. Once you lean, because you're top heavy, these things don't give. So then you end up going down like that. Like if you're on a ladder and it starts to tilt and it starts to fall, there's no recovery from that. So if you're standing on a set of stilts, where's your recovery? There's no recovery unless you drop your knees, you soften the upper body, and you control that by relaxing. So relaxing is the key word there. And relaxing doesn't mean just a mind thing. It's really releasing tension in the joints by releasing your muscles, your musculature. It has to release the tension, which creates forces on your body that makes you feel unstable. So then you get anxious and anxiety sets in, and it becomes a mental thing that you start developing the fear of falling. So that's what happens with seniors and elderly people, and it is a real concern because it's real. There is a possibility of crashing to the floor, and it happens a lot with people that are not very agile or mobile in the body. I think of mobility and movement as systemic. Your whole body has to be involved. That's why we work the hands and we work the legs. Now when we go back to the drill, if we're in a neutral position and I turn, there's your relationship, right? And here's the forward position. Here's the back position. I turn back to the front, right? I turn to the other side. I flip my hands and I switch to this side. I go forward and I go back. I sustain the position. I could flip my hands here and then begin to build my change. So I'm here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a sequence of events. You're moving your feet, you're moving your hands. Some is compatible with direction of movement. So what does that mean? If when my hands are like this and I'm turning, my structure is going in this direction, and then I switch by flipping, and then this hand is going in the direction, and then this hand comes up, and they swap. If I were to just to turn to center, that essentially is what happens on the vertical side. So if I just go to the vertical side, right, when I'm here, and I want to be on the same side, it'll be like this. So that's where the top hand leads and the other hand follows, because you're already there. See? Whereas when you're here and you switch, then this hand goes to vertical before that comes up. So between vertical and horizontal, you always have this kind of exchange between, those, so they complement each other and they cycle. When you're in the vertical, you go to horizontal. When you're in horizontal, you go to vertical. And that exchange becomes sort of natural course of your motion. So that's beginning style as an exercise to take you, through this by programming the footwork. So that's what happens when we're here. And then the leg goes like this, and we move like this. 1, 2, then we turn back to the front. But in the form, you only have to pivot 45 degrees before going back to the front. So that's actually leg work. It's footwork. So that no wonder someone that first comes in to learn the first section of the form is so confused. And throughout the 2 decades of teaching, everyone that comes in, this is day one back 25 years ago, they would have the hardest time figuring out the beginning, because there's so much in that. So how do you develop that? Actually, these fundamentals will help that, but at the same time, that's pretty complicated. So you kind of blend it, a little of that and a little bit of sequence, and then you begin to understand the methods. The method to the madness is that your body has to learn. When you're mimicking movement, you don't see the big picture. So when you don't see the big picture, you can't recall any of the things that you saw, because all you see is one big blob of a picture. You don't see the pieces of that picture. You don't see the little segment. So in teaching and learning and so forth, there is, this basic understanding that gets, more and more complex. So, that's the sort of the strategy of learning or improving after sequence. Because most of us, when we're first learning, is totally focused on how am I going to memorize this. But once you start to build the knack of the memory, it's really from identifying. I know a vertical, I know a horizontal. Then you start to build transitions. So all of these things that we're doing, sort of building blocks to how to get to the end result, which is the form. Now, some people are pretty devoted and pretty, they stay with it, and they, mainly because you like it, and you would go through the process of learning and put yourself into a position where you will set aside a time to do it. Most people aren't that disciplined. So they'll do a class when there's a class, and in between, nothing happens. Well, what happens as creatures of habit when nothing happens? Nothing happens. You don't learn it. So that's why it's a challenge, and unless you really have a goal. So when do people have goals? Simply when it's kind of related to this. Age-related degeneration, problems with balance, So unless a doctor says you need to do this, no one takes it serious. No one takes it seriously enough to take a step forward and put the effort. So most people will claim they have no time, but time is what you make of it, right? You have enough time to spend 45 minutes at least drinking coffee, and that's only maybe a 12-ounce cup. But the thing is, it does take some, effort and, discipline. So let's go through the short form, and then we'll see where that goes. So that was the drill. If you want to visit that, it's recorded, and you can keep doing that. So here we are, the Tai Chi Paradigm. There's the hand movement. We just did everything that we did in that drill happens here. And here's where we capture the grass, the sparrow's tail. And here's your pivot, and here's your single whip. Brush knee 4 times. Repulse the monkey. Leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Carry tiger to the mountain. The back side is left side. Movements. Cross hands. Raise the hand. Grasp the sparrow's tail. Single whip. Neutral position. Part the horse's mane. Stroke down, part the horse's mane. Cross corner. Back to the front. Cloud hands. Okay. Deep breathing. So that's the complete Tai Chi Paradigm form, and it's once it's put to memory, you have to relearn the form, go through the footwork and the body mechanics, and you won't pick up everything at the same time. It's really phasing, learning in phases. As you evolve, you start to develop, and you pick up on the strategy of the approach. Now, teachers, not all teachers are created equal. Some are considered good, some are not so good teachers, but the role of a teacher is really to teach you a better way, right? So teachers that teach well and teach you a better way actually are constantly learning themselves. So I go through this constantly because I look at it, it's almost like research and development. And well, it is a kind of research and development because I have to figure out how students are thinking, and through observation and how they perceive things to be, and I try to figure out what's missing. And what's missing is the ability to teach yourself, because you can't teach yourself unless you have something to work with. So skilled people, knowledgeable people will constantly teach themselves because they have something to work with. It's like a woodworker. You give them a piece of wood, it doesn't come out to anything unless you have skillful abilities from experience, because the first thing you make is going to be pretty bad. And then what do you learn from that? How to make it better. So our society, our culture is constantly doing that. Everything technologically is evolving by smart people coming up with a better way to do it. And the end goal there is to improve lifestyles and so forth. But it becomes a learning curve for everybody else. They come with a new computer, you have to learn how to use it. And someone has to teach you. So that's how that works. On my side of it, or with Tai Chi, as a teacher or teachers in this field are constantly working with that. And if you don't, your students will get stuck, or you won't have students. So that's really part of what a teacher has to do. Now, when I say all teachers not created equal, it really teachers that are innovative and have experience will constantly tweak the way they teach and how they get their message across. But you have to have some form of knowledge to do that. So, with this, it's constantly evolving and as to how things are done and taught, but it stays within the framework of what's being taught because it's guided by principles and theory. And what we're talking about is like substantialism, substantial, weight shifting, body balance, relaxing, creating integrated bodies that have the right and the left side working together. This is something not a lot of people think about, even in a field of exercise, simply because unless you do this, you really don't understand integration of body, right? So that's why martial artists or teachers that do this, constantly working themselves to get through the struggle of figuring it out. And, it's just, par for the course. So when we practice, we have to do it over and over again. So as a student, you would have to do it over and over again. And there's no, like they would say in the past, there aren't any secrets. The secrets is just the better way. Now, you can't even discover the better way unless you take it as as information from a teacher, or you go through it yourself. But going through it yourself takes a long, long time. Teachers spend that time. How many teachers will spend, most of their life doing this? So it becomes a way. It becomes a way, a method. There's a book called The Way of Karate. I studied with a person that wrote that book, George Mattson. But there's always a way. The Tao is a way. The Tao Te Ching is a method. It's a philosophy. The way is, a path. But then when you're learning, there are many ways. And you have to find the best way to learn for yourself. And also, like the drill that we did. If you did that for a period of time, you would see that it starts to filter into everything else that you do, because the transition from vertical to horizontal to alternating to slanting up, this all becomes part of your infrastructure, and it becomes innate. It becomes a natural transition. So the sides that move, that coordination becomes that relationship that I'm talking about. And that relationship just becomes in your body, and your body moves like a unit. Harmony of the movements, harmony of the joints, everything becomes a blend. And when we talk about our systems in the body, it's a systemic system that has to work together. So that's kind of the philosophy. So do you have a question?
I'm still struggling with preparation.
Preparation?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Then we're here. So if we break this really down to what moves first, this moves first. So when we do this to this to this, that's what's happening. The first thing you do is this, and the second thing you do is this. The next thing you do is this, and then the next thing you do is this. And then when you start to turn your shoulders and you reset the center, then you turn and you create the horizontal elbow. When you sit back and you drop your hands as you move your feet, and then shift your body, and then shift again, and then this starts to blend with this, and this starts to blend with this. And then you're in the second horizontal. So, yeah. then you're at grasp the sparrow's tail. So the reason why it's difficult to do those in those phases and that integration is because the body is not relaxed enough and not allowing the body to respond. So we did the basic geometry of the movements in the drill. When we make transitions like that, now you have to bring in dimensions. Right, left, center, forward, and back. Now that ties into compatibility motion and how the shoulders turn, when they turn. So much of the movements become generated from your body and your legs. It's not your arms any longer. So then it goes into another stage of. So this is, one kind of a problematic things for determining what skill level is. When we had meetings about how our, how do you, because we don't have a grading system really, and we don't have a belt system really. But once you put in a belt system and a grading system, it becomes pretty complicated with this. Because the stages of development and the levels of skill vary with a lot of different things. Demographics, age, natural abilities, all of these come into play. So it's very hard to, that's the problem we have with education, period. There's different levels of intelligence, there's different upbringing, there's different cultural things, there's different kinds of parents. All these variables come, and then you get dumped into a standard system. Say, okay, learn like this, but not everyone's equal. So there's always going to be a discrepancy. So when we're doing something like this, you can imagine that we don't. So you just do it for self-cultivation, and so it's a little bit different from trying to be, rated and graded. So because the grading and what you benefit from it is really for yourself. Improve your balance, your coordination, build a quality of life, and that's really that. That's what you get out of it. That's why not a lot of people do it. Yeah, because movements are a motor skill, and the geometry of position is a referencing. So when movement is a motor skill, the body doesn't know how to move because the brain doesn't understand it. Because the brain doesn't understand it because of the visual. Perception is something that's interpreted, right? Everything that you take in, you perceive it a certain way. So how an individual takes that information and translate it, whether it's movement or language, it has to be interpreted. The interpreting of that action is subjective to understanding, right? So without understanding, that's time, experience, and that journey where there's the trial and error, and that's where it comes into another system of a sensory system, and it's all tied together, but it's pretty complicated stuff. I talk about it like this because I think about it. I don't really think about it. I just do it, But I do. I don't know. It's amazing what happens. But all this information I have is not from a book. It's just in my head. That's all it is. Yeah. That.
Really, really fast, but it didn't include.
Yeah, because the body itself, this is sinking and rising, sinking and turning, and your limbs become part of the total motion. There's so much happening as a dimensional change that it's very hard to pick up on.
So much more complicated. My way was a lot easier.
Easy is good, but complicated is better. Not complicated because I want to make it difficult for you. It's better because for your brain and for you to learn, if you want to develop more information, brain plasticity, complex motion is better. It's not thinking, like just take, learning intellectual things. There's, stuff that is really deep, but that really changes the way you think, but it doesn't affect your body, right? You have to do complex movements for the body that really get your body to become, heightened as a level of body intelligence. Body intelligence is really the end goal, because through body intelligence you remain more functional. You have better ability to do things, throughout the course of your life, if you're lucky enough to have a healthy life. You know, everything I'm talking about is, you have to be void of problems, whether it's health problems, because when you have health problems, it's very hard to just get out of that mode, because it really dominates your life. But for the average person that, has some abilities and wants to go through it, it will improve your life. But if you already have pre-existing stuff, it's really hard to overcome some of that. Some of that you have to be, it's medically treated. But for movement, for functionality, I think this is probably the best thing. Yeah. 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 Well, because your body's moving naturally. But most people, without doing something, you don't know what natural movement is. What's a natural movement? Those are terms that they use in this, naturalness, integration, harmony, all that stuff. It's a term. It doesn't mean anything till you do it. So we should do it. Let's do the form. Let's do the long form now. Beat the tiger. Turn. Lower hoop. Cross the forearms. Heel kick. 2 punches to the ear. Cross the arms. Flip. Parting leg. Turn. 360 pivot. Fold. Parting leg. Stroke down. Parry and punch. Form the fist and repeat. Cross the arms, leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Carry tiger to the mountain. Repeat the obliques. The single whip. Okay. Right side diagonal flying. Part the horse's mane. Cross corner. Cross corner. Grasp the sparrow's tail. Single whip. Cloud hands. Snake sticks out tongue, downward posture. Golden cockerel stands on one leg. Switch to the right side, repulse the monkey going backwards. So this is a repeat again. A lot of repeats in this form. So go to neutral position. Lower hoop. Carry tiger to the mountain. Open the stance. Hold the ball. Diagonal flying. Step up and raise the hand. So this is just the second time we're going to be doing brush knee and insert needle. And fan through the back is always followed by parry and punch. Parry and punch is either forming the fist backwards or stepping forward to punch, divert, block, and punch. Okay. Now we step up again for grasp the sparrow's tail, and grasp the sparrow's tail leads to single whip. So those are sort of a natural course. Some of those postures are always, it's formatted that way, so you have those groupings. And cloud hands follows grasp the sparrow's tail. And single whip. Turn. We have the palm strikes face left and the high pat the horse and palm strikes face. Turn, single lotus kick. Okay, and then we do the brush knee left side push. And then we go to the right side punch down the crotch. And we step up again, so that's a common leg work, stepping up in to grasp the sparrow's tail. There's no more cloud hands, so now we do the second downward posture. Snake sticks out tongue, pull down, step up to cross hand, which is, instead of going to Jade Lady work shuttle, we just crossed 7-star. We retreat and ride the tiger. We have the palm strikes face left. We have another parry and punch as we turn. Then we step up, so there's a lot of palm strikes faces here. Okay. And then we turn to double lotus kick. Draw bow to shoot. Did I mess that up? One. Oh, I palm strike face to this side. Yeah. Parry, double lotus. Draw bow to shoot. Okay, now sorry. I get so involved with the palm strikes face. And here's the parry and punch. Okay. Step up. And we do this again and step up and grasp the sparrow's tail. Okay. Oh, sorry for the confusion there. But the end part is full of palm strikes face. And that little section really is a big dose of those palm strike face movements. And parry and punch. And close. So when you get to the last section of the form, that palm strike face, those are like more condensed movements. They're not as full as the beginning part. And that last section is really, it's short kind of, and repeats itself and it repeats itself again. And then taking this position and this position as, big dose of those movements happening at the end. So that's your changing of the palm. You have your two kicks there, the single and lotus kick, but either one of them, you still have that movement. So this movement and this movement becomes a transition that really, if we were here, you would see that your body has to turn 180 degrees. So that drill that we did earlier that teaches you the 180 degree turn is actually there. And the other movements that we've been doing have been like this, right? Now these movements are coming in to the center, which is kind of the reverse of the other action. So that's another dimensional change that you have to pick up on. And direction of movement. So all our movements are tied to direction. Whether it's hand or leg or whatever. So that's about it. I think we ran over time. It's time to sign out, and I hope someone got something out of that. Everyone gets something out of that. All right, I'll see you next time. Next Thursday, no class because I think we're having Thanksgiving, right? It's a holiday. Even though they said everyone has to shelter in and can't do this, you can't do that. There's going to be a overstock of turkey at the supermarkets.